All right, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. How is it going? I hope you always stay healthy, you always stay safe because you know that this is new normal. So we have to say it more and more to all people that we meet, of course. And then for today, I really would like to say thanks to all of you for the participants that already participate in this webinar session. It's really nice thing for us as a presenter and for me as a moderator. And of course, I would like to say thanks and give my appreciation to all presenters that already prepare all the materials to be ready in this webinar session. All right, here I Siti Mardiah as your moderator, will be moderate and will be lead this webinar session for today. So this is this webinar session will bring the theme cultivating the students' intercultural awareness through intercultural education. So here we have several presenters. So to all presenters, you can turn your camera and turn on your audio. So for all presenters, you are pleased to turn on your camera and your audio. So guys, here's our gorgeous presenters. So for the first, I would like to introduce first presenters, Siti Ayuwandana.
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
For the next, Tiara Nopianti.
Halo, Assalamualaikum.
For the next, Amalia Muldani. And for the next one, Mima Rifa.
Hi.
Syaiful Mubarok, the only guy in this webinar session for the presenters. And for the next, Indah Nurhanifah.
Hello, everyone.
And for the last presenter, Asri Samrotul.
Hello, everyone.
So I will remind you once again, guys, that participants are just allowed to use chat box. You are not allowed to use your camera and audio. So please, for all participants that already use their camera or audio, you can turn it off. Once again, I will remind you for all participants, you are just allowed to use chat box. So you are not allowed to turn on your camera or your audio. All right. Without any further ado, so guys, in this webinar session, we have the tagline to make it keep on fire because even though it's just online webinar, of course, webinar, it's just online seminar, we have to keep on fire. We have to give our best spirit for today. So we have the tagline. If I said spreading the students' intercultural awareness through intercultural education, so all of you have to say we diverse, we unite. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's start. And please, for all presenter, you can give your best smile to all participants. All right, are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Cultivating the students' intercultural awareness through intercultural education. We
We
diverse,
did.
we unite. Okay, thank you so much. Right. I will remind once again that all participants, you are allowed to use your chat box. You are not allowed your audio or your camera to be turned on. So for all participants, you can turn off your camera or your audio. All right. I remind you once again, for all participants, you are just allowed to use your chat box feature. All right. The participant just allowed to use your chat box and not allowed to turn on your camera or your audio. All right. Because I don't waste the time, here we have some rules that you have to concern about it for all the participants. First, this is an oral presentation only, so no written materials could be delivered. Therefore, I suggest you to take notes. I suggest you once again to take notes. For the second, this webinar is a full English forum session. So all activities will be delivered in English, including your question. It should be in English. Then all participants must turn off the camera and the audio during presentation. The presentation will be held for about 5 minutes for each presenters. All the presenters will present the material in turn. Q&A session will come after the whole presentation, just the session, okay? But you may start asking the question since the presentation is started. Please notice that the question should be typed on the chat box. So you are allowed to giving the question since the first presenter delivered his or her presentation. All right? And then in this webinar session, the question will be limited. We just choose two questions. So for the rest, answer will be sent to your email. And then you are allowed to take a snapshot in the last session. There is no snapshot during the presentation. All right, everyone? Can you get the point for the rules? You can say something on the chat box if there is something that you don't understand. If all is clearly, I will continue this webinar session. All right. There's thing is sorry. All right, everyone. So we are going to the first presenter. As you know that in this session we are going to talk about intercultural communication. It's not completed. All right, everyone, because there are still participants that turn their camera or audio. Please, you're allowed to turn off your camera, please. All right, I will continue. So because in this webinar session, we're gonna talk about intercultural communication. So this is not completed if we do not know about what intercultural communication itself. So for explaining or for discuss about intercultural communication with you all, here we have the presenters. We'll talk about intercultural communication and tolerance. For Siti Ayuwandana, time is yours.
Thank you for the moderators. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how's your life? Hopefully we are always in a good condition in this situation. And first of all, I would like to thanks to Allah who has given us a chance to still breathe until now. And also thanks to the committee, to the moderators, and all great participants who has support this event. And theme for this webinar is cultivating the students through intercultural awareness through intercultural education. And title of my webinar is Intercultural Communications and Tolerance. Well, I will divide my materials into three sections. And the first section is about define what is intercultural communications, and then reasons why students should learn intercultural communications, and then how to build intertolerance in school or university. So let's get started to the first section. According to Chen and Starosta, intercultural communications refers to the communication between people from different backgrounds, from different cultures. And according to our taxonomy, intercultural communications refers on communications behavior when different cultures interact together. So we can conclude that intercultural communications is communications between people from different backgrounds. It can be of different language, cultures, ethnicity, religion, beliefs, and so on. And next, let's move to the next sections. Intercultural communications can occur in several environments, of which is in educational environment. Therefore, learning intercultural communications for students is important. Why? Here are the reasons. The first are create students' willingness to accept relations differences. We realize that differences is not easy to accept it, but this will create with variety of different things. And from different things, students can learn new things, which can teach them to understand the differences and did not blame the different things. And the second reason is developing positive attitudes towards others. Students should honor and avoid othering because the nature of all humans is the same in the eyes of God. And the third reason is personal growth through increased tolerance. According to Johann Effendi, tolerance means all pluralistic approval, plurality of one difference between each individual, starting from different of religions, ethnicity, cultures, and others. So that means tolerance is honor different things in our environment. And as a students, we should build tolerance when in school or university or others, because tolerance is a key to build a peaceful. And I will give you a concrete examples of tolerance in educational environment. This is in Purwakarta. A school have a facilities of religion buildings like animals for Muslim students, and then any
Alright, I'm sorry for disturbing you. Siti Ayuwandana, your audio please. You can check it. The audio is muted. Alright. I'm sorry, okay? You can continue your presentation.
According to Professor Dr. Muhajir Effendi, he delivered about the tips how to build tolerance in a school or university. And those are, the first is honor the others without seeing their background. Just treat them as a human. And the second is not talking about the other ugliness. And then do not disturb the others who are worshiping. And then not impose the will on others. And the last is accept and respect differences, because look differences as is wonderful, not as a problem. And in the last, as a human who live on society and students who live in a school or university, we must be take care of each other. So do not discriminate the minorities and honor the diversities. God create us to be known each others and live in peaceful world. So let's be tolerant because we diverse, we unite. Thank you for your nice attention. Stay safe and stay healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Siti Ayuwandana. It's such a great explanation. So we have already known right now about what is intercultural communication. But guys, it is not enough to just know what is intercultural communication, but we have to, what is that? Understanding. Because to reach the awareness, first we have to know, and the second we have to understand, to more deeply understand and to be aware of intercultural communication itself. So for the next presenter, Litany Tiara Nopianti will deliver the material about understanding intercultural communication differences. So for Litany, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, the moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's move to the next material about understanding intercultural communication differences with me, Litany Tiara Nopianti. Well, in this chance, I will divide my material into three sections. The first is about the importance to have cultural communication differences understanding. The second is about types of intercultural communication differences. And the third, how to apply intercultural communication differences understanding in our life to increase tolerance and peace. Okay, let's start with the first section. Whether you are working or studying abroad, or required to liaise globally with colleagues or business partner, or perhaps preparing for to have international life partner, understanding how to effectively communicate with people from all over the world is an important key. So it's increasingly essential to learn intercultural communication. According to Dr. Tom Verhese, an international speaker about cultural synergies on YouTube, intercultural communication focuses on how people from different cultures, background, beliefs, and communities communicate across different cultures in order to minimize misunderstanding. Professor John Broth, a researcher in areas of cross-cultural negotiation, concludes there are two types of intercultural communication differences. The first is high communication context, and second is low context communication. High context communication is highly used in Eastern countries such as Japan, China, Indonesia, Arab, and Mediterranean countries, while low context communication is used in Western countries such as America, German, Swiss, and any other European countries. Both types has their own feature. For the high context communication, it is often has an explicit meaning. For example, in high context communication, yes may means yes, and no it has direct meaning. Sometimes people from low context communication has become very rude and they quite open and straight into the conversation. Now, the question is how to apply communication differences awareness to increase tolerance and peace. The first is know yourself and your culture. That means we should know from and how our culture is constructed. For example, oh, I'm from Indonesia, which is the country is has high context communication. So gesture and facial expression and tonality of voice is very influence in my conversation. And the second is know your audience. We better do a research where do our audience from. For example, if you meet an Iranian people, don't do occasions like this because in Iran, times up like this is means in an insult. And the third is build trust through interaction and always respect each other. The next, avoid using difficult ideas. We better use simpler um, conversation. And the last but not least is always be a learner. Gain more information and dig more knowledge about others' cultures will help us to be a professional communicator. We can conclude that we have to tolerate each other from other countries, which has it and others. Thank you so much for your kindly attention. Over to the moderator.
All right. Thank you so much, Litany, Tiara, Nopianti. It's such a nice presentation. So we right now know about low context culture and high context culture and how to make a communication with the culture that are different with us. So, and I would like to say sorry to all of you because you know that this is an online seminar. So there are some missing or signal errors. So you are we say sorry, sorry, sorry. All right. With apologies to all of you. All right. Without any further ado, we are going to the next presenters. After we are, after we know about intercultural communication, and then we know how to understand the differences of how people in this world make a communication. Now we have to know some aspects in intercultural communication. So for the next presenters, she is the awardee of PPI Scholarship and the member of English Department Student Association since 2019 until now. She is Amalia Muldani, will deliver the material about comprehending identity to strengthen tolerance. So please, for Amalia Muldani, time is yours. I'm sorry for disturbing, Amalia. You can check your audio. Amalia, you can check your audio. Is it muted or not? Your audio is muted. All right. Can you say something? Everyone can't hear the voice, Amalia. All right. I think there is a bad signal or signal error. Amalia, can you hear my voice? Please type on your chat box. Can you hear my voice? Yeah. All right. Why my voice is not coming out? How if we going to the next presenters, Amalia, and maybe you can prepare and make your signal back. Maybe you can laugh and then enter again to the room. All right. Okay. So I do apologize to all of you guys. All right. You can turn off your audio and camera, Amalia. All right. Thank you. All right, everyone. Now we are going to the next presenter. This is already talk about the aspect of intercultural communication itself. The material is about stereotype in intercultural communication. The material will be delivered by Mima Rifa. So for Mima Rifa, time is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Let's move on to the next topic with name Mima Rifa. The topic is stereotype in intercultural communication. Before we start, I'm going to divide the presentation into 4 sections. The first is definition of stereotype. The second is stereotype in intercultural communication. The third is example of stereotype in university. And the last is the solution. Well, let's start with the first section. What is stereotype? A stereotype is a base of concept or image, the standard that is common to people of another group. Stereotype can be positive or negative and usually happen when we have minimal knowledge about a group of people. These simplistic views, opinions, or image are based on what they have in common within members of another group. Walter Lippmann from Harvard University said, cultural stereotype is the rational principle of the individual to reduce the system of his real environment. Psychologically and physiologically, a person seeks to standardize views and ideas, which leads to a selective perception of information. It is essential to add that stereotypes are so persistent passed down from generation to generation that they are often perceived as given reality, biological fact. Those stereotypes as a rule have nothing to do with personal experience, despite the fact that in the process of historical development they coincide with individual experience. So we can conclude that stereotype is about of a process and a result of communication according to certain semiotic models. It makes it it makes sense to agree with Martin Lussmann then that a stereotype is a product of cognitive process and an expression of our cognitive system. Then the second section is stereotype in intercultural communication. Most this dictionary endow the concept of stereotype with a negative meaning. Therefore, a dictionary of psychology conclude that stereotype is a tough, often simplified idea of a particular group or category of people. Despite this, stereotype, as noted by the same author, contain a certain grain of truth. A significant number of people recognize them, which contributes to the rooting of stereotypes. Stereotypes can change over time, but their carriers can often find it difficult to get rid of acquired ideas. Following function of stereotype are distinguished. There are cognitive, sorting of information, establishment of guidelines, and then affective, the development of ethnocentrism with the goal of forming identity, and social demarcation for the purpose of laying the foundation of identity. Stereotypes are usually divided into auto-stereotypes and hetero-stereotypes. Next, the example of stereotypes in university. University students come from various regions, then diverse cultures. When we see someone with a different appearance and clothes that are old-fashioned, we will definitely think that she or he comes from a village area or far from urban areas. That is stereotypes. And the last is, how do we rid ourselves of stereotypes? The first step is educate yourself. One good first step is exactly what are you doing now. Learn more about the problem, increase your awareness of racism and how to combat it. The second is meet new people. Learning about race and racism is good, but it's not enough but itself. Meet people from different backgrounds enable us to see them as complete human beings. Third is get motivated. Just any bad habit we want to change, we need to recognize what we are doing and then substitute others more positive behaviors in their place. And the last is get the facts. Getting clear about the facts on the ground is essential in order to uncover personal and institutional biases that escape our notice even while shaping the social situation within which we live. Thank you. I will return it to the moderator. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mima Rifa. So for the next presenter, maybe I will check the audio of Amalia Muldani. Please, you can check your audio first.
Hello, can you hear my voice now?
All right. I can hear your voice, but I don't know.
Is it clear?
All right. Clear. So for the next presenter, Amalia Muldani is the awardee of PPA scholarship and the member of English Department Student Association since 2019 until now. She will deliver the material about comprehending identities to strengthen tolerance. So for Amalia Muldani, time is yours.
Thank you, moderator. Hello, everyone. Now let's move on to the next topic with me, Amalia Muldani, in the topic comprehending identity to strengthen tolerance. I'm sorry because in the previous time, my connection is kind of bad. So I hope that in this presentation, the connection will be good. Okay. In this session, we are going to investigate three main questions. The first question is, what is identity? The second, what does identity do to ourselves? And the last question is, how can we strengthen tolerance by comprehending identity? First of all, let me tell you that the concept of identity is complex. Even philosophers, psychologists, academics, scientists, artists, and politicians have a widely varied hypothesis and lack significant consensus. Is it that complex? Yes. One challenge lies with the complexity of the concept of the persistence of identity. Here's the thing. Have you ever thought which aspect of you is I? Is it your physical body, your mind, your thoughts or feeling, or your action? And then when is M? This week, today, this hour, or this second? Those questions can demonstrate the complexity of the concept of the persistence of identity. So, Plutarch, a Greek historian, analogized this concept with the theory of a ship. It says that Theseus, the mythical founder king of Athens, slew a monitor eagle at Crete. Then he returned home on a ship. To honor his heroic feat, Athenians maintained his ship in a harbor and annually reenacted his voyage. Whenever a part of the ship damaged, it was replaced by the same identical piece with the same material. So how can every single part of something be replaced, yet it is still the same thing? So Amy Adkins, a director of the undergraduate research of College Behavioral and Mental Health Institute, explained that we are the collection of consistently changing parts of physical body, mind, circumstances, and even quirks. So it is always changing. For example, our body is growing up, and our mind, as time goes by, we experience a lot of things until our mindset is changed, and our behavior shape us who we are. Therefore, even though every part of you is changing, but you still the same. You are still the same. It is you. Now, what does identity do to ourselves? Identity relates to our basic values that dictate us to make the choice we make in our life. For example, relationship, and then a career, and those choices reflect who we are and what we value. For example, we can assume that investment banker values money, while in the other hand, the college professor values helping and doing research, for example, and helping students to gain their education. Moreover, Bernard Williams, an English moral philosopher, stated that in psychological traits, identity is the mental feature that allows us to differentiate one person from another. Our qualities, for example, our beliefs, our personality, and our looks, the way we look, are what makes us as a person, right? Each person has different of it, like different looking, different expression, different personality, right? So therefore, each person has different identity as well. Me, you, and people all over the world have different identities. Now, the last question is, how can we strengthen our tolerance by identity? Do we use identity to be tolerant of others? The answer is no. We do not use identity, but identity uses us. What does it mean? So Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual teacher and best-selling author from Germany, stated that we don't learn to use identity, but identity uses our mind to manifest itself through and use our body to emanate through. So you know that tolerance is willingness to accept different behavior, different beliefs, or different actions that differ from your own, right? So as our identity merges more, it uses our body and mind to manifest in this world to bring about the change to our life, to your life. For example, you will begin to use your mind to be kind to others. For example, you face a situation where someone needs your help, but you see from afar and there's no one around them. For example, it is you who decide whether you want to help them or you want to just leave because you're just afraid that maybe the person or the people is a crime or something. It is you who decide your path, your choice, right? So that is the example of being tolerant. Whether you want to judge people by the way she just looks, only just she just looks, or he just looks, um, or you want to like have a positive thinking and open-minded mindset and broad-minded mindset, and be kind to others and be tolerant to others. Now we can conclude that as we now already understand about identity, we realize that people are growing up and people have different identity in their life. So the difference itself, it is what makes the word beautiful, right? So the last thing that I want to say, peace begin with tolerance and respect for everyone. Thank you. I'm Amalia Muldani. Now back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Amalia Muldani. It's such an excellent presentation. Now, I already know that we now know that everyone has their own identity, everyone is unique, everyone has their own skin tone, everyone has their own the way of thinking, the way she or he communicate to each other, and all people around the world is different, is unique. It's such a nice what is that? It's not a nice aspect in intercultural communication for us to get to know more deeper, deeper to understand or to be more aware in intercultural communication itself. It's such a nice and excellent presentation. Thank you, Amalia Muldani. And I would like to remind to all of you, for the participant, you can give your question since the first presenter gave her presentation. So you can put your question on the chat box, okay? So we are going to the next presenters. Now we are going to talk about the issue of intercultural communication. One of the issues is racism. So Syaiful Mubarok will bring the material about how does intercultural communication see racism in Indonesia. For Syaiful Mubarok, time is yours.
All right. Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you always in a good condition. All right, my name is Syaiful Mubarok, and today I'm going to present to you about how does intercultural communication see racism in Indonesia. All right, let's get started. The case of racism that experienced by Papuan student in Surabaya is only one from a lot of racism case in Indonesia. And the question is how to sink it. Of course, that is a big question, and of course too, that is a big challenge for us as Indonesian. But consciously or not, racism in Indonesia has become a culture. And it is our duty to fix it and to sink it. But how? The only one way is to educate them about intercultural communication skills and to aware them about the dangers of racism. Siataram in 1970 said that intercultural communication is the art of understanding and being understood by the audience of another culture. When someone meets and enters into interaction with people who have differences in culture, in beliefs, in values, in norms, etc., then to avoid cultural clash and dispute, intercultural communication can minimize the possibility of disputes. Therefore, intercultural communication skills become a material that needs to be learned in cross-cultural interaction. When speaking in the context of Indonesia, which consists of various ethnic groups and cultures, intercultural communication skills is need to be learned, bearing in mind that these differences can be a source of cultural conflict and strife if there is no cross-cultural knowledge. By learning intercultural communication skills, one will respect one another and minimize the possibility of culture clash. Intercultural communication skills are also useful when someone enters a new environment. For example, a student who wants to study in a place that has never been visited before, it is very important to know and to learn the culture of the local community there. So there is no culture shock and culture clash. Thus, intercultural communication skills will increase tolerance and awareness that any cultural differences needs to be addressed carefully. So there is no cultural conflict and the process of adaptation to a new environment will run well. And if the spread of intercultural communication skills runs well too, it seems like Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream about his 4 children will happen one day. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Syaiful Mubarok. It's such a nice presentation, of course, because as we know that racism is one of the issues in intercultural, in multicultural countries as we in Indonesia, right? And then for the next presenters, after we learn about what is intercultural communication, the aspect of intercultural communication, and then the issue now, we will know about how to build unity in diversity. Unity in diversity. So the material will be delivered by Indah Nurhanifah. She is the awardee of PPS scholarship and the member of Organisasi Mahasiswa Daerah Munggaran. So for Indah Nurhanifah, time is yours.
All right, thank you, moderator. Hi, everyone. How's it going? I hope all of you are in a good condition. This is such an honor for me to be here with you in this seminar with all the great participants. With me, Indah Nurhanifah, we are going to talk about building unity in diversity. So, in this section, we have 3 subtopics in here. The first is, what does unity and diversity mean? The second is unity and diversity in real life. And the last is, whose responsibility is it to maintain the unity and diversity? So, we have 2 main words in here, unity and diversity. What does unity mean? Unity means being together or at one with someone or something. This is the word of togetherness and oneness. And diversity is about acceptance and respect. It means understanding that each individual is unique and different. It's about recognizing our individual differences. Unity and diversity has the similar meaning with Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. Of course, this is the common sentence for us as Indonesian, right? And unity and diversity is used as an expression of harmony. Unity without uniformity and diversity without fragmentation. Diversity is when people belonging to different cultures, language, background, and others. Diversity is the permanent human condition, and this is the important factors of society. As in college, the students came from the various cities, and of course, they have the different backgrounds, language, habit, and cultures. And it obviously cultivating their intercultural awareness by the intercultural education in everyday life. According to Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, who promotes the praise unity and diversity on his book, Discovery India, he said that diversity is not just about people from different backgrounds living together, but also uh, understanding that each individual is different and accepting one and another. Let's take the example in our college life. We have friends from the various way of thinking, various way of dressing, various language, habit, and cultures. And without realizing that we cultivating our intercultural awareness by accepting and respect our circle with all the differences inside. According to US News about diversity in college and what it matters, said that the student should represent themselves honestly in terms of how they recognize their own identity. Those whose responsibility is it to maintain the unity in diversity. The responsibility to maintain the unity in diversity is in each individual. Respect each other's choices, despite of we have a different opinion, but let everyone, let others express their views and give them their space. Create tolerance toward everyone regardless of their cultures, norms, and values. Spread awareness about importance of unity in diversity. So, teach and spread tolerance to anyone near us, starting from our smallest circle, our family and friends. The last thing that I want to say that the great task for our generation is to live tolerance and build the awareness of unity and diversity. Thank you. Back to the moderator. Your voice solely, moderator.
Thank you, Indah Nurhanifah, for reminding me. All right, everyone. Once again, I would like to say thanks to Indah Nurhanifah. Thanks for making it such good presentation because we already know about how to build unity and diversity in diversity and how to understand that. Of course, we are going to the next presenter, which is the last presenter of this webinar session. She is the Queen of English Department Student Association 2020. She is Asri Samrotul Himiah. Will deliver the material about tips and tricks for successful communication. For Asri, time is yours.
All right, thank you so much for our moderator. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for participants for joining us. And I would like to introduce myself. My name is Asri Samrotul Himiah. And in this occasion, I would like to discuss about tips and tricks for successful communication. And before we go into the tips and tricks, let's look to the theory from Howard Giles. There is communication accommodation theory, which the theory says that we make different ways of speaking according to the context. And communication accommodation theory, or we can say CAT, is the psychological model for speakers to adjust and shift their speech style consciously or consciously according to the context. For example, of course, we make a different way of speaking. When we talk to the baby, we use baby language, but different with when we talk to our lecturer, there is more formal language. And then in communication, that is adjustment. We can say adjustment that it took place not only in the accent, but discursive levels such as speech rate and pattern of pausing, utterance length, gesture, posture, smiling, gaze, and so on. And this adjustment, broadly speaking, there are three types of adjustment. There is convergence, divergence, and maintenance. And convergence, the first one is convergence, is when the speaker make their way of speaking is more similar to her partner of speaking. And the second one is divergence, when the speaker make a different way of speaking with their partner. And the third one is maintenance, is when the speaker choose not to modify her way of speaking, just to be the speaker is. And next, let's move on to the tips how to make a successful communication. The first one is we need to establish and maintain eye contact, because eye contact plays a crucial role in communication. And the next one is try to send a clear message. Keep the goal in mind. And the third one is be receptive to what others say, or we can say be a good listener. And the last one is wait for other person to finish. And if we can conclude to the tricks for successful communication, it is very simple. The tricks of successful communication is listen, understand, respond, respect. Listen, understand, respond, and respect. All right, that is for me. Thank you so much for your nice attention. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Asri. It's such a great closing presentation. So everyone, now we have already know, maybe we have now we are more aware to what is intercultural communication and how to handle the issue of intercultural communication itself. And we have already known about the tips and tricks for how to make our communication with the different background and different culture, but how to make it run smoothly. We got it. So for the next session is Q&A session, but afraid there is no question, so I will give about 2 minutes for all participants to drop your question on the chat box. Of course, please. So for Q&A session, I allow all presenters to turn on your camera and your audio, but if there are some problem in audio, you can turn it off. Okay.
Halo Ai.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, Bapak.
Iya.
All right. So the participant is disallowed to use chat box.
Chat. Chat. Okay.
I'm sorry. So I invite to all presenters Once again, to all presenters, to turn on your camera and your audio. But if there is trouble in audio, you can turn it off. All right. Okay, there is the question. I will wait until 9:01 a.m. There is the question. So, as I stated before in the rules that we just choose two questions to be answered in this webinar session, but the rest question will be answered later and we will send the answer through email, right? So if all participants have already dropped their question, I will choose just two. If there is no question more, you can give me a sign, participants. All right, I think it's already 2 minutes. So presenters, we have 3 questions, but unfortunately, we just choose 2 questions. For the first, for Pak Fuad, the question is, currently, many people understand the importance of reducing othering, minimizing intolerance, and enhancing the awareness of differences. However, why do still exist a number of people committing inappropriate intercultural behaviors, for example, intolerance, racism, discrimination, gender bias, stereotyping, and so forth? What should we do to avoid those potential problems?
Elaboration, right? Okay, I have a question. I have an example. I'm sorry, I have an example. There is a girl or a woman from Iran. She went to America and she lived there for many years. And then she has a lot of friends there, and she ran her business, and she got succeed. She even can ride an expensive car like Lamborghini or Jeep, and but the way she what's that wear her clothes, she uses niqab, or you can call like the cover, something that cover your face except the eyes, and she wears full covered clothes. But her friends, some of her new friends, I mean, ask her, where are you from? I'm from Iran. Oh, but how can you be success with those clothes? And how can you wear those clothes while you riding an expensive car? And how can you talk so fluently? And how can you so brave to out of your country and you go to America and then you will be successful and do your business alone while you don't have any husband or relatives in America? The asker, or the one who asked the girl from Iran, say that what I know from Iran is the girl or the people of Iran is tend to uneducated and unable to speak English fluently, and not brave to talk to others and run their own business alone. But it is the example of an open-mindedness, because the people only talk to others based on the stereotypes of the country or the district or the area where they live. They cannot deal with the changes or the fact that Iranian girl can even be success with their own ability, their own personality, their own skill. it is the example of what's that? Not open-minded to something. So what we can conclude that open-mindedness is to have a view or no stereotype of beliefs about cultural differences, like what I said in the example previously. So open-mindedness in intercultural meaning that you uh, you are having no stereotyping to others based on where they come from or how they what's that wore they their clothes. That my explanation about Dika's question. Is it clear enough? Yes, back to the moderator.
All right, thank you, Amalia Muldani. So, is it clear? All right, everyone. So, for the presenters, please you can turn on your camera and turn on your audio. Once again. All right. All right. So for the presenters, you are allowed to answer the question. If you cannot hear my voice clearly, you can see on the chat box there are some question. There are two questions that I choose. The first one is from Diva that already answered by Amalia Muldani. So for the presenters that will answer the questions, you are pleased. We're gonna be the first to answer.
All right,
Can I?
thank you,
Oh.
as moderator.
All right, Syaiful, you are pleased.
All right, I will try to answer, to give a simple answer to the question that asked by Mr. Fuad. Why do still exist those people like that? I think because they already understand about othering, reducing othering, and etc. And I think that is because the lack of awareness about the dangers of those things. And why? I'm sorry. And what should we do to people like that? I think we must aware them and to inform them about the dangers of those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Syaiful Mubarok. Maybe for the next presenters who will answer the questions, who will deliver your opinion. All right, Wanda, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time. I will edit some answer about tips. What should we do about Mr. Fuad's questions? Here are the tips to avoid othering, intolerance, and so on. The first is honor the others without seeing their background, and just treat them as a human, like because we are the same, we are equal, and not impose the will on others. Don't force the others to follow us to follow what we want to do, something like that. And do not disturb the others. Honor the privacy of theirs. And then the last is not the last. Accept and respect differences. And also we should be alert and keep patience, just like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Siti. And for the next presenter, who will add the opinion about the question from Mr. Fuad. Anyone else?
Answer.
All right.
moderator. Yep. Okay. I wanna add the answer for the question from Mr. Fuad.
Okay.
Yes. We cannot avoid the differences because differences is a permanent human condition, and how to avoid those potential problems. This is not just about people from different backgrounds being together, but also the important thing is how we can understanding one and another. So living together with people from different backgrounds is not enough, but we have to understand one and another. Thank you.
Thank you, Indah Nurhanifah. Maybe for another presenters, for Asri, maybe you will add some opinion or some answer.
Can I add a little more?
Okay. Will be the first, Amalia or Asri? All right,
Okay,
maybe.
Asri first.
Okay, Asri first. I'm sorry, Amalia. You'll be the next. Please.
Yeah. We can make ourselves or think what and how much hurt if we be victims of racism, if we be victim of intolerance. It will be very sad, of course, and if we consider it will be very hard, very sad. We can avoid ourselves to do intolerance or racism or etc. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, maybe. Oh, okay. For the next, Amalia, I'm sorry, I forgot it. You are please.
I would like to answer, like I would like to try to answer the question from Mr. Fuad, Mr. Abdullah, about why racism, discrimination, and stereotyping still exist, even though people are already acknowledged that othering it's really important to be known in this era. I ever watched a video on YouTube. I'm sorry, but I forget this who is the speaker. But it says that why the racism is still exists even though people are already acknowledge it is because we ourselves is already like feel being in the race that we own. For example, we are Asian. We tend to stereotyping like Western who have a free lifestyle and doing a free sex or drugs, etc. And we like tend to stereotyping them to all over the American, for example. It is because we have the feel of we have a strong feeling of being our own race, and we tend to based on our history that we know from our family, for example, from our relatives, that oh, our race is so kind, our race is has to be act this way, and the feeling of owning that feeling is what's that occur when we see something and we tend to stereotyping. Hey, look, there is black people. I thought that black people I think that black people is tend to anarchies and easy to angry, etc. So it is because of the way we feel in our self that we own our race is so strong. That is because of that. I hope that my answer can be accepted.
All right, thank you so much for all the presenters. I hope the answer will reach the participants' expectation. So is it clear enough? Or there is no additional opinion from all participants? Is it enough?
Yes, it's
I think it's enough.
All right, thank you so much. All right, everyone. We are in the end of this webinar session, so we can recite Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
I'm sorry,
All
moderator,
right. Yes.
but I see that there is still one question in the chat box, whether
All
the
right.
question answered here
Okay.
or no.
As I stated before in the rules that we just choose to question on this webinar session. So for the raised question, it will be answered and sent by email.
Okay.
All right. So we just choose two question for in this webinar session. So I can conclude that being someone who has intercultural awareness is needed in nowadays. Moreover, the student, due to our topic, students should have this awareness. People have to know and aware about differences to increase their sense of humanity. They have to know deeply about identity, uniqueness, skin tone varieties, language differences, and any other aspects. Intolerance and racism are the examples of how people is lacking in understanding the value of interculture itself. Therefore, it's very important to be a good communicator and good listener in general daily life and in class learning. And then open-minded in the term of IC is we have to throw away the stereotype way of thinking. It's like we have to know about how people think of or how people behave this. And then we only understand about intercultural communication, or we have known about what is multicultural and how people around the world behave. It's different, but the lake is not is it's not about knowing, but it's about understanding. We must aware them about the dangerous, about the issue of intolerance or something missing in intercultural communication. And then for the simplest way is just treat them as a human. It's like, because I guess that intercultural communication to more or to deeper understand it is just we have to increase our sense of humanity to treat people around the world to be the same, to be not discriminate to another people that different with us, and then just not living with the differences, just not only living with the differences to increase the awareness, but we have to understand the differences itself. So I think that's the point of this webinar session. I really thank you so much to all participants and to all presenters. But to make it memorable, to make it interesting webinar session, I will check again our tagline. So maybe all participants can turn on your audio to make it interesting, because it's very interesting if I can hear all voice of participant to what is that, to speak or to what is that, to speak together with us the tagline. So for all participants, you can turn on your audio, and of course you are allowed to take a snapshot to make it memorable, because this is very interesting for me. So for all participants, you are allowed to turn on your audio. All right. I will close this webinar session with our tagline. All right. I think some participants have already turned on the audio. Are you ready, guys?
Ready.
All right. I wonder that you forget the tagline. So if I said cultivating the students' intercultural awareness through intercultural education, you have to said we diverse, we unite. Diverse, we answer. Get it?
Yeah,
Are you ready?
of course.
I see. Okay, there are some participants that already turned on there. So if I said cultivating the students' intercultural awareness through intercultural education. You have to say, we diverse, we unite. Okay? Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
Cultivating the students' intercultural awareness through intercultural education.
We
diverse,
diverse,
we unite. Okay, thank you so much for all presenters. Thank you so much for all participants. I appreciate your effort. I appreciate your participation in this webinar session. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Presenter, you are not allowed to leave the group.
Okay.
All right, guys. There is. Okay. There are still participants. Masih caranya orang bisa di dia. Drag gitu kan.
Udah ya?
Udah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Jadi itu kan izin. Ini tadi apa bisa? Abi deg-degan aduh tuh kuat abi ngesang iya lo Gusti.
Aduh. Abis bahasa wangi-wangi.
Sama. Wait.
Take babe.